evening. This is Stella from So You Schooled in OAU. So, in this episode, I will be reviewing Professor Adesegun Fatusi's interview on So You Schooled in OAU, and I can already tell that it's going to get up to be so amazing. The review that is. So the interview took place about late March, early April, very first interview. I reached out to him with the idea in February and told him about, and we selected a date in March. It was my very first podcast episode, and I'm so happy to be reviewing it. So, about the first 3 minutes of the interview, I'm listening to it again, introducing himself and all, and it is just so confident in who he is and what he has done, and it is really something for me. Looking forward to, growing up and making something of myself. Sometimes I wonder if in years to come, decades to come, I'll be this sure of myself, I'll be this tall and proud. Yeah, yes, yes. I remember asking him about the question about little beginnings and how he got to where he is today. And I remember him mentioning that it was step by step and God leading his ways. Because just as human beings, we always have plans, we always have things we want to do. Personally, I never did I? Okay, let's say I almost never saw myself where I am today. I had a very, very different plan for what I wanted to be. But then just as he switched from surgery to public health, mine also switched even maybe more drastically. And here we are today. And yes, when you look back, you do see the hand of God guiding your path. And I was just so convicted by the way he kept saying it was God leading his path, God bringing him so far. Because at the end of the day, we all know it is true. We have nothing of our own might to guide our path, to guide our future, to make sure that future is good. Because that is one huge concern we all have. Will this future be good? Yes, I know I have a future. I'm not dead. I'm alive, so I have a tomorrow. But will it be good? But the way he was so convinced that God saw him through, God brought him through to the fellowships he did, the masters he has done, the jobs leading him back to OAU in 2002 and becoming director of this, provost of that, and over time just becoming who he is today. And many of us cannot really say, I'll be here in 40 years' time. But we all know God sees us even past 40 years' time. And it's just so reassuring that your future is settled. Yes, yes, yes. So I asked him this question on uh like how did you feel when he left away? Because some people really hate the school, some people it's okay. We have a toxic relationship, that's what some people say. So, how did you feel? And for him, he said a couple of things. He said, the Yoruba say that whoever puts you through a hard time is teaching you to be stronger. He said he too, when he actually attended OAU, said he would never come back to the school. And it seems like it's a general perception of the school among the students that this school, never again. And then we end up doing so. Like, see me with this podcast. I could have done a cooking podcast, but here I am today. So I guess, I don't know. So when I asked him the question about how many VCs tenure he was in OAU for, he mentioned that he was there for Professor Cyril Owumechi's tenure and then Professor Wande and Bimbola. I knew about Professor Wande and Bimbola, but I was like, who is Professor Cyril? And I decided to go look him up. And if you know what I found, so Professor Cyril was uh, from Enugu State, first geophysicist in Nigeria. And he was also the youngest professor. I don't know if there's any professor that has been anybody that's made a professor that was younger than he, because as at 2023 when he died, there was an obituary brought out by the University of Ibadan stating that he became a professor at 30 years of age, and he was the youngest professor in Nigeria to date, like youngest person to become a professor in Nigeria to date as of 2023. So this 2026, this is being recorded. I don't know if you know any other person that became a professor in Nigeria at a younger age. Please let us know. But that is so astounding. Then he went on to become VC in OAU at in 1979, which is a year Professor Fatusi got in. And it's just the way our lives all go around in circles. Through this interview, I've learned something I had no idea of before. The Professor Cyril, first geophysicist in Nigeria. Okay. Okay, so I'm at that point where Professor Fatusi is talking about his different involvements back when he was in school. And I still think it was a lot. But what it really showcases is that first, you can learn a lot of things outside of classes, because from what he's saying, PRO work, electoral commission, he was learning accountability, he was doing extracurriculars, learning leadership, learning different soft skills that he wouldn't have learned in the classroom. Many of us going to school nowadays because grades are so hyped up. Even back then, grades were hyped up. But because grades are so hyped up, we don't explore any other thing apart from our academics. While I would not say abandon your academics, you do have a lot to gain doing more than academics while you are in university. Many scholarships you would apply for, if you are going to apply for a scholarship in future, will ask for extracurriculars, will ask for different things that you are doing apart from your academics, and to fill in those gaps in your CV, you need extracurriculars. Maybe you don't need as much as your friend is doing, maybe you don't need as much as Prof did, but try and get engaged outside. Build relationships. Join ISEC, JCI, Leo Club, Rotaract. Join something. Give of yourself. Don't just always take in. And even in the class, read the mic carrier or something. So there are so many ways we can give back to the community, back to ourselves, that we don't really explore, all because of the focus on grades. All right, so we've gotten to about 4 minutes left in the interview. And I remember just how hopeful Prof was or is about this country and about the future generally. And it is simply, how do I say it? It is simply inspiring, because there's it reminds me of The Audacity of Hope by Barack Obama. Should I say that? So I guess from today's episode, you'll be getting one book recommendation and one movie recommendation. So Prof said we should watch Men Who Made America. So the movie is about people who loaned America money during the Great Depression, and then from me, you get to read The Audacity of Hope by Barack Obama. So I guess it's just this episode is just saying that no matter what, through it all, yes, tough times last. Tough times last, but there's always hope. And I think it really, really touches me, because many times you feel down, many times you feel like all hope is lost. And for someone who has seen even much more, there are two ways for him to have seen even much more and still have hope. And also, because he has seen much more, you know that he definitely knows much more. So for him to have so much hope, it's very inspiring. And with that, I came to the end of the episode. Professor Fatusi's tips and gems for life were really, really resounding. They cut across every aspect of life, from staying in touch with God directs your path, to staying in touch with others, because your fellow human beings, your friends, your lecturers, maybe your colleagues at work, your family, and people that God will use to work His purpose in your life. So you should live a life with purpose in mind, and so many other things, including make yourself proud, make your country proud, make the world proud of you. So as we go today. Oh, maybe it's night where you are listening. Thank you so much for listening this long. I wish you the very best and see you next week on So You Schooled in OAU. My name is Stella and bye.